Welcome to Season 3 of The Connection Code, a podcast where we explore the relationships that make your life and work just a little bit better.
Hi, I'm Rachel Gilman-Rischel. I'm the founder of 3PR, an agency that focuses on healthy food brands. But my other obsession is introducing people that I really think should know each other.
And I'm Jeana Anderson-Cohen. I recently opened a social gathering and event space in New Buffalo, Michigan called Petite Acres. But before that, I spent about 13 years tricking adults into making friends through fitness at a company called A Sweat Life. Needless to say, I am obsessed with friendship, connection, and gathering.
So Jeana, not only are we kicking off season 3, which means we have done 50 episodes and we're on this amazing journey together, but for the first time, we are welcoming a sponsor to the show, and this one is personally fulfilling. Well. No surprise, this came about over coffee with a connection, but what we're doing is we are welcoming a friend of mine to the show. Her name is Kelsey Gilbert-Kryling, and she is superhuman. She runs Week of the Website, which is the company that I've done the most work with for her. She has built 4 different websites for me, and they do an incredible job of building websites in the span of a week. But she's launching a brilliant new business that I introduced you for called Eventually. And if you have ever hosted a ticketed event and you have cursed the existing platform for charging layers of fees and forcing everything through a separate ticketing site, Eventually is an actual game changer. It's event ticketing and registration that runs on your site and matches your brand. Ta-da! It fits seamlessly inside your site and it has a flat monthly subscription. I feel like I have to say this again because this has killed me on so many Between Bites events, so many No Small Talk events. There is not a per ticket fee ever, which is like the death of a million paper cut situation. Kelsey was so kind. She even gave us a special discount code. So you can go to eventuallyticketing.com/the connection code. And if you use the code CONNECT10, you get 10% off your first year with Eventually. So thank you, Kelsey and Eventually, for being this fabulous supporter of our podcast. You're bringing people together. We want to bring people together. It felt like a great marriage.
I can't wait to try it. Honestly, I've tried a lot of event platforms.
I feel like this is perfect for Petite Acres.
Yeah, it might be. It might be. It absolutely is. It's happening. Well, I'm so excited for that, Rachel. And that actually brings us to our big question. Because we're entering season 3, I want to talk about what connection has been teaching us and what we've been learning from the guests on the Connection Code. We've had a lot of really amazing guests. But first, let's do a summer check-in. What surprised you the most this summer or challenged your idea of connection?
Okay, I have to give you a compliment first. You prepared a wonderful list of questions for today, and it was really fun to think through these. And I also love a recap. So this summer of connection, I realized that I'm experiencing a gap between what I anticipated for the summer in terms of my social life and what is actually transpiring. And it's not a bad thing, but I had this vision for myself. And I was like, oh, the twins are going to sleepaway camp for 3 weeks. Ruben and I are staying in Chicago. I'm going to plan so many things. I'm going to be out. I'm going to really fill that time. And I kind of didn't. And again, it's not a bad thing, but I just found myself wanting quieter evenings. My husband, Ruben, and I went for walks. It was earlier bedtimes. It was just a different pace. And I think what I'm sort of realizing is that if you want a lot of friendship and activity in adulthood with other people who have kids, it takes a lot of work. People are on different schedules, different camp, different vacation. And I don't know that I actually wanted to do the lift and the labor of filling the calendar. And so I just let it sit, which is kind of unlike me. And so I still feel like I'm having a connected summer, but not at the pace and intensity that I had forecast for myself. And I'm just sort of sitting with that. How about you as you're running a new business and almost 20 weeks pregnant?
I know. Well, maybe that's exactly what you needed, Rachel, because sometimes it's like when you're like a friendship generator like you are, sometimes friendship, it is always fulfilling, but sometimes it's also draining to be the one who's always making the plans. So I think it might have just been what you needed for your summer vacation to maybe make fewer plans and have a little more space. So I think that's
Maybe
kind of
I
nice.
need more friendship generators in my life so that
Yeah.
I'm not always doing the lift. I don't know.
Making the plan. Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
Or you could just start delegating to the friends who always let you plan everything. What do you think about maybe you planning an activity? But they probably are like, you like planning.
Oh, this is a whole other thread to go into is like once you
Yeah.
have an assigned role and it's
Yeah.
just assumed that you're going to be the reservation maker
Right.
and the instigator, how do you get out of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so this summer, I've been so busy that I feel like what has surprised me about connection is I am both connecting with new people and trying really hard to stay connected with like my old friends.
Yes.
I'm not doing a great job at it. I'm trying my best. Like a great example, a concrete example of it is I missed my best friend's 40th birthday because the invitation went to an email address I don't check. and so there was a misunderstanding. She didn't check in on it because she assumed I was busy with the business, and I didn't follow up. Like, are you doing anything? Are you doing anything that I missed or anything I should come to? Because I assumed like if she was doing a party, like I would know about it. And then I saw it was the worst feeling. I saw pictures of it online or like got a text from someone and had this sinking feeling in my stomach like, holy shit, I wasn't invited.
Oh, you thought you weweren't
I
included,
thought I
not that you
wasn't
missed it.
included.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought I wasn't included, but then I came to find out that I just missed it. I just missed the invitation because it went to this like 20-year-old email address that that is just spam at this point. And she's known me since that email address was the one. So there's no reason why she would think to update that. but there was definitely a day where I felt really sorry for myself and really sad about it. But like that stuff happens. It was a misunderstanding and we talked it out, but I was definitely bummed about it.
That's a hard connection moment because it's not
Yeah.
anybody's fault, but I can see why it's
Right.
painful on both sides.
Right.
You do a special makeup celebration or something that gives you both a
Yeah.
chance to connect?
We should. We absolutely should because I have a gift for her and I don't want to just send it. So,
Yes.
you know. So that was, you don't want to ever like miss someone's big moment. So I was bummed about that because she shows up for me.
I feel like the irony is what you're doing this summer by running Petite Acres is helping other people connect constantly with weddings
Right.
and retreats. But then how do you make sure you don't lose your own connection in the process?
Right. And how
No
do you
answer.
get
It's just a
people,
question.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I know. How do you get people to make plans with you on Mondays and Tuesdays? Impossible.
Hospitality industry days. Yes.
I know. Well, let's jump back to our season 2 guests because we had some incredible guests who I think each had their own nugget of wisdom, at least one, but many had multiple. Rachel, which guests are you still thinking about?
Again, a great question, but the first thing that came to mind, and maybe I'm a little bit biased, was
Sure.
my niece Lily. She came on to talk about autism and connection.
Mm-hmm.
She's 12. She was very transparent. She was very well spoken. The reason I'm still thinking about it is twofold. One, she completely surpassed my expectations and how articulate she was about the experience of living an autistic life. I felt like she showed up with so much more than I ever thought she could bring to a podcast as a 6th grader. The second thing is that it had such far-reaching implications. We've never recorded an episode where more people have come into my world or my sister's world to say, I listened to this episode and I wanted to let you know that. I heard so many people's autism stories, so many people saying, I think there might be a diagnosis that needs to happen in my family. This answered some questions for me. I'm going to be sharing this with my students, with my camp counselor. It just had the most beautiful and resounding ripple effect. And so I feel like the gift of Lily sharing her truth and her challenges is that other people really benefited from it. And it felt like this episode created community.
Mm-hmm. Wait, I will just say that Lily came to that episode with such poise and and command of the conversation that I don't think I was ready for her to be that put together. And she really did offer such nuggets that she didn't have to do that. Like she didn't
No.
have to share her story about autism because so often we ask for people with like different perspectives on life who maybe have or live in the minority or have a different perspective to like help us understand instead of just seeking to understand. And she really did the work for a lot of us, which was very beautiful.
How about you? Who is still living in your brain?
Well, I think we had a conversation with Morgan Radford, which was lovely for a lot of reasons. But a couple of the things I'm thinking about, one, she talked about the book that she had worked on and was launching. And that book is out now. And that book is behind me.
Now then.
I was looking for it to make sure my dog hadn't eaten the book jacket off because she does that. And then she also spoke a lot about like motherhood, parenthood, and how it changed her, how it made her life better. She had both of us in tears. I was not yet pregnant, but we were in our like trying to conceive journey. I now am pregnant. That's how many weeks ago it was. And so she just had a baby, didn't she?
Yeah, she has a baby girl.
She just had a baby. So in our conversation, like she was talking about these beautiful life lessons that she'd learned from parenting. And she was meanwhile like probably talking to herself a little bit too, because she was expecting at that time, which I reflected on a lot after I saw her announce that she was expecting. And she also is just so passionate and wise about journalism and the field as a calling. So it's just really fun to hear someone who is an expert and interested
Yes.
in a field the way that she is.
I feel like I really love those moments where I see somebody living their purpose, that they're in the career and in the profession that best suits their abilities and passions. It's sort of like that can happen. That alignment can happen where somebody's doing what they're meant to be doing. And she articulated it so beautifully.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's dig into conversations that changed your own behavior. So, Rachel, was there a guest or a conversation that changed the way you behave in connection or changed the way you think about connection?
Yes. On one hand, it was a permission slip. On the other hand, it was a warning sign. So we talked to Professor Leslie John. She wrote this book called Revealing: The Underrated Power of Oversharing. And what I love about this book and her research is that it does validate my entire personality, that oversharing, for the most part, is a really good thing for building connection, and that vulnerability creates a space for people to come together. So sometimes I'm not the most discreet. Sometimes I go places really quickly. I'm sure there's a lot of regrettable moments, but my intention is I'm opening up so you can open up. So I loved that, and it affirmed me. The thing that I still also think about that's kind of changed my behavior is she had some warning signs in the book that when people go too far, too fast in opening up with a new person and they don't read the room, and if the other person is comfortable with it, you can really alienate somebody or torpedo a new relationship. And I try now to keep that in mind. Like, if I want to go deeper or go more personal, is the other person ready to accept that? Or am I going to freak them out by being very candid and very real? Because I've realized on the flip side, sometimes I get uncomfortable. As much as I love this sort of like, let's get into it. If somebody shares something that I don't feel like is warranted or I haven't earned the right to know it yet, do you know that feeling where you're like, ooh,
absolutely.
That's more about your childhood than I was prepared for. So I love this book, and I loved our Leslie interview because it's saying, used properly, vulnerability and disclosure is so great for connection, but don't overdo it, or people might think that you are unstable or not their person, or just a fledgling relationship might not get off the ground.
Yeah. And she talks about in the book, like this reciprocal and gently escalating kind of
Yes.
disclosure. So it's
Yes.
it's if someone like tells you that they feel a little sad today and you follow up with a sex story, like that might not be the best disclosure escalation for your new friendship or that cocktail party. Right?
Yes. Yes. It's a skill set to be like, you've moved one step forward. I
Yeah.
shall also move one step
Yeah.
forward. Not, I'm going to leapfrog 10 ahead.
I also have a difficult relationship with my cousin.
All sorts of things that could
Yeah.
play out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great book. It's definitely worth reading, but that has
Right.
lodged in my brain. How about you?
Okay, so I think Laura Sanchez Greenberg, who is like the highly sought after career coach, um, everything coach, wonderful person. She shared about this sort of board of directors for life. And while I haven't personally asked anyone to be on my board of directors for life, I have been thinking about friends as sort of like not like what they can bring to my life because that's ridiculous, yucky, but more like what are the questions I can ask this person that
Mm.
tap into their expertise and also maintain our friendship. So I like the board of director for friendship. I think about that a lot, and it has kind of given a little tweak to my thinking on friendship and connection.
You know what else she said? That it was such a good interview with Laura, and I advise it for anybody. But she also talked about mentoring up and down, as in find
Mm,
people who are younger than you and at
yeah.
earlier stages in their career to be part of your board or part of your circle,
Hmm.
because as you age, you don't only want mentors that are at your level or
Right.
older, because then you're missing a whole different perspective.
Right. Yeah, that was really interesting too, because you forget
Yes.
one of the most important things about a generation behind you or two generations behind you is that they come by new technology much more naturally.
Oh, yes.
And they can offer it to you in in these easy terms because it comes to them naturally if you're willing to ask for help. So I think just remembering like, okay, these are I bring experience and I have these skills, but you have a natural talent for what is current. And that is
Yes.
something that I do not have anymore. How can I like give you what I've learned from experience, maybe lend you some confidence and ask you to help me and lend you some confidence is a Laura Sanchez Greenberg term, and maybe ask you to loan me some of your current knowledge and the way it comes to you so naturally.
Yeah, because I never want to feel, this is me speaking personally, I never want to feel dated and that
Right.
I'm unable to learn and evolve. But there are things that are just going to come with the territory of being in your
Yeah.
20s versus being in your 40s. So right now I'm in my season, as you know, where I'm helping a lot of college grads figure out their post college internships and their first jobs. And they're so
Hmm.
great and they're prepared. And I'm really impressed with how they're showing up for
Hmm.
our meetings. But there might be a point where I say, hey, now that you've landed, I need to understand what your world is like and what is your
Hmm.
first job like and how are you using AI and where is social
Hmm.
media playing a role and are you even watching legacy media? Like, is that relevant to you? So I think probably no, but
Yeah.
having this wide berth of people at different
Right.
life stages, very valuable.
Yeah. All right, Rachel. I want to know what is a piece of advice that we've gotten from a guest that you've actually started using?
Do you remember our fabulous interview with friendship expert Danielle Bayard Jackson?
I love her. I do remember that.
I want her to come back. It wasn't enough. But there is a thing that she said, among many brilliant things,
Mhm.
where she dispelled the notion that friendship should be easy.
Yeah.
And I think even as an adult, I've often fallen in the trap of friend chemistry. Like, oh,
Mhm.
we have a spark, we get along, so therefore the friendship should just flow. But when you're in this life stage and you're already busy and you have so many things that take up time, friendship actually requires work. And that's like the unsexy reality of creating a new relationship. And
Mhm.
if you think it's supposed to just be easy and seamless and then it's not, you might give up too fast. So I really liked her advice of you can click with somebody and feel like they have a lot of potential to be a good friend, but you still have to try. And I think that mindset shift is really useful. And you actually are so innately good at this because that's how we became friends. We clicked, but then you said, let's make plans and put it on the calendar because if you don't see somebody and start to like put the reps in of spending time together, it won't develop.
Yeah. Yeah. You do have to try. You do have to try. I think we forget as we get older. Well, it becomes as we get older that friendship is trying. Friendship is effort. When you are young, friendship is natural because you are just in situations constantly that are social, and we just aren't as much.
Yes. I'll give one quick example, and then I want to hear your perspective on this. But I've been so jealous is a funny word for it, but my daughter Shira is in a theater camp right now. So it's 9 to 3 every day, and she's going with 5 other really good friends. And so every day they spend 9 to 3 together. They decide the night before to coordinate their outfits. So they'll be like, it's stripes and a jean short. It's a gray top and a blue short. Like it's just what you do going into 7th grade. So they all show up in these like matching outfits, the 6 of them. They go to theater camp. And then every day after theater camp, they host at a different person's house. So then they spend another 2 hours together at somebody's house making videos or doing a lemonade stand or just hanging out. And so Shira is basking in friendship, and she feels so connected to these girls.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And I'm like, I wish I had 8 hours a day to spend with my friends that was like scheduled, planned, and easy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like that. I mean, it's a time of life when friendship is so attainable.
Yeah. I honestly think that's why retreats are so like appealing to adults, because it's what we crave. Like what we really want is a lot of time with people to form connections and deepen connections. And we lose the language to say like, what I really need is like 40 hours with my girls.
Condensed.
And like to have plans, but nothing like serious. Like so for example, like right now I'm working with this Mahjong group that is planning a retreat at Petite Acres at the end of January. And I'm obsessed with it because they're just like, the schedule is yoga, games, meals, and wine. And it is a girl's dream. Even if you don't play Mahjong, like I think you would
so
still
fun.
Yeah. And like reading and little crafts and like adorable. I think what we all want is like camp time, but we just lose our summers, which is ridiculous.
Should you maybe, I feel there's an offshoot of your business of just friendship camp. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, we've talked about this, Rachel.
Okay.
Friendship camp's going to be a thing at Petite Acres. I just have to like steal a week every summer, or maybe winter, because summer is dead to me. Summer is weddings and retreats.
I think like 80% of the battle is just having a venue and then getting people to commit to a weekend.
Right. I agree. Like friendship camp is the thing.
Yes. I'm sorry, I derailed us, but I want to know who you listened to in our interview series and felt like the advice has really stuck with you or that you're implementing in your own life.
Well, I think Sara Haines, when she talked about From the View, when she talked about curiosity as sort of like both her source of friendship, but also the reason why she's been so successful in her television hosting career, I think that's really interesting and a reminder that friendship is also curiosity, because you can't just like rest on what you know about somebody. You have to like care about what's happening in their life and what matters to them and how things are going. But it's also true for new people. When you meet someone new, it is very off-putting to have the first question you ask them be a signal of status. Like, what do you do?
Yes.
What do you do? What do you care about? Or what's your perfect Saturday? Or are you close to your family? Like those are, I mean, really, those are uncomfortable questions, but also you'll get at some fun answers and learn a lot about somebody. What do you do is boring. We can do better than that.
Yes, I agree with you. And I fall in that trap. So that's a good reminder.
I don't think you do. I think that's ridiculous. If you ask, what do, you ask it like 20 minutes in. It's after you've learned about their kids, their neighborhood, and like the person you have in common.
No, Jeana, I fell in such a trap. So I had this great conversation with Liliana Vazquez, and it all started because she went to a networking event and was incredibly offended that people were just staring at her badge to decide if she was worth the conversation.
Right.
And then what do I do this week?
That was
I go
notable to me, by the way.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, that she shared that?
Yeah, that she shared that. I love that part of the conversation.
Oh, yes. But then guilty. So I go to a lunch event this week for a mayoral candidate, and it's a smaller group, and there's a lot of men there that I don't know, and
Right.
a couple women that I came with. And so I was like, I need to look at people's badges to figure out sort of like how did you end up? I kept asking like, oh, how do you know Will? How did you end up at this lunch? But people were just peering at each other's badges because there wasn't necessarily a great way otherwise. I would have loved a Jeana friendship exercise or a facilitation or some like, I put you guys at this table because you all work in marketing, and you're all at this table because you work in advertising, and you're at finance table. It's tough not to default to this sort of unhelpful, awkward behavior of looking at someone's name tag when you are starting with nothing.
Yeah. And at political events, what you find too is people are grouped by donation tier often.
Oh,
so it'll be like
interesting.
The like platinum donors are together, the gold donors are together, whatever. So it's not like a generous way to group people at all. It's just a way for it's a way to reward someone, obviously, for like financial donations, but you don't end up learning anything about someone that way. It's just the platinum people are together.
Oh, well, there was assigned seating, which I didn't expect for the lunch. And I wasn't sitting with the people I had invited. And so I just switched tables. I just was like, I asked, I was like, do you mind? Because sometimes you feel like chatting with strangers and figuring it out. And sometimes you just want to be with the people that you came with.
Well, also, it sounds like there weren't that many women there, and they probably split up the girls.
They did. And I was like, I don't need to be here to be a token at a table. I want to.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd prefer not to be talked over at this table. Thank you so much.
To be fair, everybody was polite.
It was lovely. Of course.
But it was just an interesting thing of like, what could happen to help people meld and make new connections a little bit better than having to zero in on where you work.
Yes. And don't let me put my own experience on yours.
Yes.
All right. This one should be easy, but it's not. Which interview made you unexpectedly emotional?
The word unexpectedly is so silly because I get emotional really all the time. We're going to give Sara Haines, I think, a lot of airtime in these answers coming up. Right. So I didn't expect that we would all cry so much during that interview.
I know.
But what I really liked about it is that I made a confession just because it was top of mind for me. And I said, oh my God, I cry when my parents leave town. Like when they visit and they have to go, I still cry. It was just something that bubbled up. And she met me there and said, oh, me too. I cry when my parents leave. And then it became this really beautiful bonding moment about having big feelings around your parents leaving. And so we went there and we got teary.
We really did. And honestly, I didn't expect to ask the question, like, do you remember what it was like when your parents left you at college? But it just like plopped into my head as we were talking. And I was like, I just feel like she has an answer for this. Like, I feel like this is going to be an important conversation because she did have like a real emotional reaction, and we all had a real emotional reaction to the thought of like our parents walking away from us after, like spending time with them. And it is really sad to watch your mommy go.
Yes. We often tear up together, but what stood out to you as something that really brought you somewhere emotional?
Well, I'm thinking back on a couple of conversations, but I think Dr. Carly Thompson.
Yes.
When we chatted with her, she was our first guest in season 2. And she was at that moment, like navigating some really hard things, having just gone through a mastectomy, as like days before. So we were sitting with her virtually, but sitting with her nonetheless, like days after the surgery. And she was talking about like the very real feeling of being a breast cancer surgeon who had experienced breast cancer herself. And I just think back on that interview now with a lot of emotion. And I
Yes.
also felt in the moment all of the feelings, and us, you and me, Rachel, trying to keep it together. So it was so it wasn't like us just crying about her cancer when she was there bringing such like one, beautiful emotion, but two, such important clinical research about early detection of breast cancer, so that the listener could be reminded to get your screening, get your mammogram, because hers was caught in her very first mammogram. Um, but it's a lot just thinking about like her and her family and her practice and the irony of it all, and also like the luck that it was caught, and it was caught early. And I'm getting like emotional thinking about it right
I
now too.
know.
Like she was just like a wonderful guest.
I would I don't say this for everything, but I would really encourage people, if they're interested, to watch the YouTube video that we have of it, because you can just get all the facial expressions and the
Right.
nuance of that conversation, because it was very layered.
Yeah.
And I've known Carly for many years. She's married to a friend of mine from seventh grade. It hit very hard. The
Mhm.
the interesting upside, the twist, I don't even know if I've told you this, is that
What?
they moved to Bali. And
Okay.
yeah, so they're living in Bali. They're homeschooling the
Amazing.
kids right now. They are like recentering and reimagining their lives and putting health at the center and their family forward, and like trying to kind of get out of the machine of all the things that can come with crazy careers and kids activities. So they're working on a big project around it, and they released a teaser video, which I should send to you. Yeah, I Ryan and Carly are going to continue to, I think, live big, impactful lives, and I'm
Right.
excited for how they reveal it. But that interview, that's a beautiful callback. That was a special one.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to find that teaser video. Okay. Rachel, what conversations continued after we stopped recording?
Okay, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but this is, I feel like, a good example.
Yeah.
So we really did chat with Sara Haines a fair amount, and
Yeah.
she said something for her. I don't know if it's her dream connection or just something she was interested in, but she did
Mhm.
mention she was very excited about the WNBA. And
Oh,
you and I
yeah.
had a mind meld, the same reaction,
Yeah.
where we're like, we have
Sarah
one
Spain.
friend,
Yeah.
Sarah Spain, who's like the Kevin Bacon of women's sports, knows everybody.
Yeah.
And we're like, Sarah
Is
Haines,
everywhere.
you everywhere. We're like, Sara Haines, you should meet Sarah Spain.
Mhm.
And thankfully, Sara Haines was game. And then we believe in consensual introductions and making sure we're not a bother.
Yeah.
So we checked with Sarah
Yeah.
Spain. And then lo and behold, maybe about a month later, Sarah Spain was in New York. The two of them went for coffee, fell in love, had that magic friend spark, sent us a selfie. Then they closed the loop and started a text chain with us. And to me, that was like a perfect example of a post interview chat
It was
with a
really lovely.
well-intentioned introduction. Yes. And then a real life relationship transpired from it.
You love to see it. Okay, I have two I wanna bring up. Sara Haines, like shout out to Sara Haines, but I'll move on to Shabnam Mugharabi. She like I just loved our conversation
Yes.
with her. I thought about it a ton. I've as a result like have listened to more like Soul Boom afterwards. So just thinking about like connection, the soul, what connects us, but from her perspective, um, has been really lovely. I think that episode's worth a listen for a lot of reasons. Selfishly, I was really excited because she's like Rainn Wilson's bestie. And
Yes.
I could like quote every episode of The Office, like every so it's sort of like that one degree of separation, but also at the end of the day, like she and Rainn, and everyone who works in their soul enterprise, starting with Soul Pancake and now Soul Boom, they all think about the world from this like very connected perspective. And the Soul Boom journal came out after we had our conversation, or right before we had our conversation with her. And I just think that's such an interesting tool to think about the world as a more connected place, like as from a religious perspective or non-religious perspective, because it's not really coming from the perspective of any
Yes.
religion, but it is kind of thinking about like the higher power and the universe and the soul. But I do want to throw another one in. So when we chatted with Suzy Welch. She
Love
actually,
Suzy.
she was our connection to Leslie. So Leslie, why am I blanking on her last name? Help me so
John.
much.
Yes.
Thank you. Leslie John. She connected us to Leslie John. So Suzy Welch, first and foremost, lovely to speak to. She is an excellent storyteller and then also just a spitfire. So if you say something she doesn't agree with, she's like, no. And then she tells you why. And you accept it. And that is that is how we all should strive to be. I think the lesson there that I've thought about a lot since then is to remember, like, it doesn't hurt anyone's feelings to disagree with them. And if it does, it's not about you. It's about
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
Because we're often taught as women to just like be agreeable, be small, like just like get along and keep it moving. She kept it moving, but she also like got her no in and told us why, if she disagreed with us. And I love that. She's fantastic. And then she led us to Leslie, who's this like research driven softie, who like not to say like couldn't be more different than Suzy Welch, but in a lot of ways like very similar to Suzy Welch, like academic, achiever, driven, but at the same time, like they live their lives in these really like out loud ways, but express it really differently. And I thought that was really lovely to see, like that difference and that connection too.
I'm smiling because I love Suzy's podcast, which is called Becoming You. But what's so funny is her newest fan is my daughter, Kayla.
Really?
And so I told Suzy, you
it.
have this not even 12-year-old who listens to your episodes and really loves hearing your stories and your advice. But Suzy has one about parenting you should listen to, about how she raised her 4 children. And she has 3 foundational rules. And they really rocked me so much that I messaged her today about it.
Really? Okay. Should I listen to it?
Oh, you should listen to it.
Okay. Well, I mean, the fact that one, she had 4.
4 kids, I think, in 5 years.
Oh my God. Like more wonderful. And then 2, the fact that she also, like, the way that she talks about parenting is really interesting too. All right, Rachel, we've done a big recap of season 2. Do you think we should do show and tell?
Let's do a quick show and tell. Also, I will tease something that we have some really good guests for season 3, and we're going to have great conversations with really fascinating people. So just stay involved. I hope you'll keep listening. It's a good one.
Yeah, we'll be there too.
We will be there. We're going to have conversations between us that are great and thought-provoking and honest. My very quick show and tell came from my high school mentor, who I still stay in touch with.
Okay.
27 years later, my God. But he just told me about this thing called the Win phone in Japan. Have you heard of this?
No. I mean, besides this document.
Okay. This is so beautiful. It is a disconnected telephone booth in Japan, and visitors hold one-way conversations with their deceased loved ones. So you go into this beautiful telephone booth that has been constructed for this purpose, and there's an old school telephone, and you pick up the receiver and you talk to the person that you have loved and lost. And I think it is a permission slip and a cathartic way to feel connected, and that you're in dialogue in a way that maybe you wouldn't feel as comfortable if you were sitting at a cemetery, or if you were on a walk, or if you were by yourself at home. And I saw this little YouTube clip about it, and I started to read about it, and I just thought, what a humane gesture to create a space, a physical space where someone can go and feel enclosed and pick up a phone and feel as though they're summoning the spirit of someone that they've cared about, and they are in dialogue with them. So I loved this idea of the Win phone.
That's really beautiful. And I wonder if people walk away from that phone and, maybe just talk to the loved ones they lost in real life too, or if it's just a place and time.
I wonder too. I feel like it's worth digging in more, but I really loved this idea. How about you?
Well, I'm bringing an interaction we had, Rachel. So to our show and tell today. So we were at Grainer Farm when you were out in visiting me in Southwest Michigan. Grainer Farm's in Sawyer. We live in, have Petite Acres in New Buffalo. And we went and had this lovely dinner at Grainer Farm. And Grainer does the very like lovely and generous thing of seating everyone around the room. And we got seated, you and Ruben and Justin and me, next to this lovely couple. And we started the evening. Well, first of all, Justin made like some inappropriate joke while we were having the farm tour. And the gentleman we got seated next to, I had caught laughing at that joke. And I looked at him and I went, don't laugh at that. And that was the start of our conversation. And so we ended up sitting next to them. And by the way, we were already connected like 8 different ways. But what really got us was when Ruben had realized, your husband had realized he had cold emailed this person like that day. Like
I think it was for sure that week he had sent this man that we were sitting next to an email, and they were sitting right next to each other.
Right next to each other.
Yes.
And the reason why we knew that Ruben had figured out he cold emailed this person that week is because he slammed his hands on the table and went, no fucking way. It was just one of those where it gets you. You can't believe the world is as connected as it is. And then it also, like, those two were lovely. He works with Brad Surratt, who Justin knows really well. And they had just gone on this bike ride that Brad Surratt hosts in support of a number of charities for children with different abilities and disabilities. And it was a lovely connection because they had just finished raising for this charity more than $3 million. Or the charities they support on this bike ride. So it was a fun time to reconnect with him and to get to like see that moment for Ruben too.
And what a powerful reminder that you should respond to cold emails because you never know who's going to sit next to you at a dinner party.
Listen, I think he got a response later, I would bet. Did he ever write back like after that email?
Well, I know there were Instagram follows back and forth. Okay. I would presume that he responded to the email, okay. But it was truly one of those, the world is so small moments.
So small. Yeah, so small. Well, this has been another episode of The Connection Code, the first of season 3, but this is a podcast about friends, connections, work, and everything in between. This is a production by 2 friends, Rachel Gilman-Rischel and Jeana Anderson-Cohen. I personally would like to thank Rachel for sticking with me while I've been the busiest human on the planet. But we would like to thank all of you for listening to this podcast. Thank you for following, liking, subscribing, posting messages on Spotify if you did it. If you haven't yet, do all those things. We would love it. It really does help. You can follow us on LinkedIn or Instagram using our full names. And we would also like to thank Ben Cleaver for editing this podcast season 3 together. Ben, we can't wait.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Sara.